snag one. I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Barbara Boyd Doss, hello. Benjamin, hello. Guys, we're getting ready. Give me just a minute.
Hey, who are those two handsome fellas? Who's that dame? She's a doll. Well, she's not really a doll. She's alive.
This is true. This is true. Oh, shoot. I'm getting it back. Getting it back. Okay.
Love it.
Hey, it's Rutabaga. What is this?
Okay, let's see. It's 12:59. Okay, we got like a minute. So
I can't see. I can't see.
You got your eyes closed.
Oh, that's what it is.
okay.
I can see I'm going to be shifting into mow mode.
I can't wait to get hit.
Okay, 12:59, I think it is. I think we can go ahead and get started. What do you guys think?
Let's do it.
Let's do it. Guys, this is an epic episode of Hollywood Kitchen today. We've got to get you ready for Thanksgiving, and that's what we are out to do. And today we are going to talk about the life and the legacy of the Three Stooges. Oh. That's right. That's right. We have special guest, returning regular Annette Bochenek, who flew in for this episode, Rick Greene, and drum roll, please, Curly G.
Hey, hi everybody. It's so nice to be here.
All right, so we are going to talk so much about the Stooges. We're going to have a lot of fun today, and I'm really excited about it. So in deciding what to make, I thought maybe keeping it simple might be best. So there is, believe it or not, an entire cookbook just about the Three Stooges recipes. It's official, and today we are going to make.
We're making yuck yuck yams.
Yes, the yuck yuck yams are what we're going to make today. So we're going to get started in making the yams, and then we are going to sit down and look at some incredible Stooge memorabilia, photos, letters, and it's going to be epic. It's going to be awesome. All right, you guys ready?
Let's do it.
All right. Okay, so how do I turn on the burner?
Got it.
That's important to know, right?
Oh, what's that smell? Oh, that's gas. Oh.
So low, very low?
Very low. Very low is good. Low is good. All right, so this is a very simple recipe. So the first thing we need is about 1.5 tablespoons of butter. Okay.
That wasn't even in a spoon. How'd you do that?
I don't know.
Oh.
All right, then we need about 1 cup of apple cider. So the butter is melting in here. We have the apple cider. Now we're gonna need a 1/2 cup of honey. Curly, could you get the 1/2 cup of honey prepared for us?
Hey.
Are you sure this is a wise idea?
Or maybe Rick, could you go help Curly with the 1/2 cup
Hey,
of
honey,
honey?
come over here. Wait, how do you do the 1/2 cup?
What have I done? Okay. Now we also need 2 tablespoons of fresh lemon juice. So I've got 1 and 2 tablespoons of lemon juice.
1/2 cup's down here, Rick.
Guys, how are we doing on the?
Yeah, well, you asked 2 morons to do it. It's gonna take a little while.
Okay, there we go.
That looks pretty good.
That's about it?
Yeah, I think that'll do it. I think that'll do it. Okay, gentlemen, come back over here in the frame. All right, so we've got.
Who came in?
Who came in, right? Okay, so we've got butter, honey, and apple cider, and we're gonna stir these up on a low simmer mode and wait for everything to kind of melt together here. This is so cool to have an island in the middle of the kitchen, Rick. This is awesome. Thank you, by the way, to Rick for his incredible generosity and letting us invade his home today. Okay, so we're still waiting for the butter to melt. And so, oh shoot, I didn't mean to do that.
We'll clean that up.
Sorry, I swapped some stuff outside. Oh my God, I'm sorry.
My wife's gonna kill me.
I know, and I will be here all afternoon.
You're gonna be stranded on this island.
Yeah, yes, this is true. Okay, so the butter is is melting. So what we're gonna do is have this on a simmer, low heat. We've already cut the yams because we didn't think having a big knife around Curly would end well. So Annette very gracefully chopped up our platter of yams. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna add the yams to the mixture. And
All of them?
I think that was like a ½ inch. If Curly wants to measure.
Curly, do you want to? Do you want
Half
to?
an inch?
Do you
Yeah,
want
we
to put
brought
the
it
yams?
over.
Do you want to put the yams into the mix?
Yeah.
All right, all right, all right.
Oh, I'll keep going.
Yeah, you can keep going. Keep going.
I don't want it to splatter. I don't want this wife to be mad at me either.
I know that's why we're not making the turkey. We're keeping it simple this year.
Well, that's because you can't find any turkeys these days.
Yeah.
For me. Oh. Keep going.
Maybe one or two more, and I think this is good. I think this is
Is it
good.
good?
Okay, now what we need to do. Okay, so all right, we put them in here, and it says simmer yams until fork tender, about 30 minutes. When I did the test batch, I did 30 minutes, and some of them got burnt. So I think in 20 is pretty good. Do you guys have a kitchen timer?
Alexa, set timer for 20 minutes.
20 minutes.
Oh man, that is so high tech.
Ooh.
Wow. All right. So while this is simmering, let's start our conversation. So
But everyone who has an Alexa, they all set timers for 20 minutes. Sorry about that.
You mean that's not a real dame?
it's not a real dame.
I was looking to hook up with her after the show. Oh wait, I'm married. Yeah.
Maybe we should make sure everyone knows who Curly G
Yes,
really
let's
is.
talk about Curly G's origin story.
No.
Kind of like a superhero. There's an origin story to Curly G.
I'm the youngest grandson of Curly Howard from the Three Stooges. You know, these guys.
That's right. The DNA basically skipped a generation and landed smack dab on you.
Oh, I'm the most fortunate guy in the world.
You are. That's like winning the lottery of genetics and DNA and such.
It's simply amazing. It's an honor and a privilege. And it's an honor and privilege to be on your show today.
Thank you. I pretty much freaked out when you said yes. I was like calling Rick and Annette, like screaming. I was so excited.
She
So-
was screaming.
I was, because I've been a Stooge fan since I was a little girl. I know they say women don't like the Stooges. Annette and I are living proof they do like the Stooges. We are out there. We are out there.
I could actually hear Carrie screaming out in Indiana. I was like, oh, I think that was a guess. Time to get my flight ticket.
But how did you first like make that connection that you were comedy royalty?
Well, we didn't know that the Stooges, we were related to Stooges until I was like 8 years old. And my older brother was 12. And because my grandmother had remarried when my mother was very young, we weren't told for a while. And my brother went to see Fiddler on the Roof, and he came home from the show and just kept telling my grandmother on the way home, I want to be an actor. I want to be an actor. That was the most amazing thing ever. Kept going and going. And finally she said, it's in your DNA, all right? Your grandfather's Curly from the Three Stooges. We're like, what?
That is a bomb to be dropped on someone.
Yeah. It's like, so he came home and he told me, and I was in shock too. It's like, really, our heroes, especially Curly was our favorite. And I didn't even know he's our grandfather, right? So we came home every day and watched the Stooges. And then to find out that that's your kin, that's your family. It was a lot to take in. And of course, our friends weren't going to believe us. I mean, they came home every day to watch the Stooges with us. So we kind of, tell like your best friend and stuff, but it wasn't something I went on the playground and told everybody because I'd have to slap them, you see? And I knew it was in my blood. So just amazing. Absolutely.
That is awesome. That is awesome. So what are some, Annette, Rick, and Curly G, what are some of your favorite Stooge episodes?
Well, I'll tell you, like most kids, we all gravitate toward Curly. And when we were watching them and a Shemp would come on, your first thought was, aw, it's not a Curly. But then when we got older, we grew to appreciate Shemp and all of them. But the Curly shorts are the best of the series. And the first 15 or 20, it's just one masterpiece after another. Their second film, Men in Black, is both of ours. It's one of our very favorites. It's like almost like a Marx Brothers level of madness to that one. But my favorite, because of the alphabet song, Violent is the word for curly. That short with super service, the gas station, and well, singing that alphabet song, I think it's their finest 2 or 3 minutes of all their 195 shorts.
I think you're onto something. Is that the B.A. Bay?
That's the one.
B.A. Bay, B.E.B., B.I. Biggie Bye, B.O. Bo, Biggie Bye Bo, B.U. Boo, Biggie Bye Bo Boo. That one.
We didn't rehearse that.
Yeah. And for me, Disorder in the Court is one of my favorite shorts. Curly is just brilliant. Just his mannerism, his boyhood charm, everything comes out so strong in that short. But they all the shorts have just little pockets of genius, and I love them all. What about you, Toots?
Annette?
I'll tell you enough, it's Woman Haters for me. One of their very first ones.
That's their first Columbia short.
And it's a wonderful one. The storytelling approach of that one is so unique. That you hear Larry and Curly sing for one, which is terrific. And it's delivered in rhyming couplets too. It's early on. We have the delightful Marjorie White in it. And I cannot tell you how often I have that For You song stuck in my head. Just randomly. Yeah, For You, I like one. Yeah, so it's a delight, and I love many more, but I think that's my favorite.
I think for me, I love An Ache in Every State, because I love when they get to the top of the stairs in Silver Lake and they're delivering the ice, and the giant cube of ice is like a little tiny ice cube. That never fails to make me laugh out loud. And then I love Tassels in the Air, the one where they are confused for the interior decorating team of Mo and Pig Latin. And then Curly's like painting the antique furniture with paint. And then every time he sees a tassel, he just goes ballistic. Which I don't have a tassel on me. I tried to look for a tassel just to show you today, and I couldn't. There you go.
And just so everyone knows, we get this question a lot. That long stairway from An Ache in Every State is a different set of stairs that Laurel and Hardy used in the music box. They're both in Silver Lake, but they're not the same sets of stairs.
But in either way, both those staircases yield comedy gold, because they're so high, they're so dramatic, that you just look at them and know that you're in for some serious comedy.
The music box steps have a flag. We need to get to work on the Three Stooges stairs.
Hey, I think so. I think we have a project.
And that would put the matter to rest too.
Yeah. I think we have a new project, guys, we need to do. So yeah, I just love them so much. And we were talking earlier about how comedy is so powerful. Like even in really dark and difficult times in people's lives, they can watch comedy and it just brings so much joy and laughter and kind of takes us all out of our troubles. And you were telling us off camera about some of the responses that you've had from some of the Stooge fans. So
yeah, that's probably the most rewarding part of it, is hearing about the stories of how the Stooges got people out of the toughest times in their lives. And then to meet the fans at the fan club meetings or at certain events, and to hear and to hear those stories, and just to be able to, give them a hug and just say, I thank you for, what the fans mean, but the Stooges really have brought a lot of people a lot of joy and laughter, and they still do. Hey, who was that? Oh, that was Grandpa. He was on my shoulder.
And there's some comedy that you watch decades later and it feels dated or of its time, but the Stooges are timeless. Like even little kids can still watch that today, and it's still funny. It still holds up.
And then, like we were talking about, like when you go to a theater, if you have the benefit and luxury of going to a movie theater and hearing children laugh at the Stooges today, it's just something that's incredibly rewarding and special in my heart. So I love it.
How are we doing on time, Rick? Does Alexa give time updates?
Nikki is timing it, so we have about 12 minutes.
Oh, we have 12 minutes. Ah, wow. These yams are still a little hard, so
Oh, we might need the whole time.
We might need the whole 12 minutes. We'll see. We'll see.
Well, what are we gonna do for 12 minutes?
Well,
are we gonna sit here and yap? Yapping.
We could yap, or we could go ahead and move on over to the memorabilia table. What would you guys like to do?
I'm good with whatever they want. What do you folks want?
What do you guys want?
You want me? Can someone slap him? Feel free there, Ricky. No. Do it right. Hit me hard.
Really?
I was bred for this.
All right.
Oh! Whoa! He backs a
I
punch.
smacked him.
Nice one.
I smacked Curly Howard's grandson. I'm so proud.
All your dreams.
Yes, all of our dreams are coming true
Hey,
today.
you're all gonna get a shot at me. Don't worry.
They're coming true today.
People want us to move to the table.
All right, let's-
Memorabilia.
All right.
Memorabilia. This is gonna keep trucking here. I may pop over and check on it and that occasionally. You guys go to the table. I'm gonna move the laptop, and I got honey all over my hands. So
Honey on the hands.
I need to go wash all the honey off my hands. Okay.
Is the lighting good?
Think so?
What's that on my head? Oh, that's my hat. Huh. It was moldy. Hey, you got one of these too.
Okay, memorabilia time. Rick, you lead the way because, as I always say, you are the film history gift that never ever stops giving.
So back when I was 15 years old, I founded the Cleveland, Ohio chapter of the Sons of the Desert, the International Laurel and Hardy organization, called the Big Business Tent. And that's a group that's still meeting to this day. That was 1973. But I read stories about how many of the fans knew or met Stan Laurel, visited him, corresponded with him, and I couldn't do that. He had passed on in 1965. But I loved the Stooges almost as much as I loved Laurel and Hardy. And Mo and Larry were still alive in 1974. So I wrote to both of them, and I received letters back from both of them. Now, I only got one letter and a signed photo from Larry because he died shortly after, but I was able to correspond with Mo a half a dozen times. And at one point, I asked him if we could use his signature on a membership card for a Three Stooges fan club. I had been approached by a guy named Ralph Schiller, who was out of Chicago. And Ralph knew of the Sons of the Desert. He wanted to found something similar for the Three Stooges. And somehow he got hooked up with me. I can't even remember how, but he asked me, and he was a lot older than me. I was 15 years old. Would I be the vice president of this new Three Stooges fan club? And of course I said yes. He knew I had founded a Sons of the Desert chapter. So we began from nothing, the Three Stooges fan club in 1974. Ralph was president, I was vice president. We had a couple of other people helping us. And the thing blew up because Mo Howard kept my name and address on his desk. I got letters every week, dozens of them over that year. Mo Howard gave me your address and said, you have a Three Stooges fan club. I want to join. Now, as the years passed and I more focused on the Laurel and Hardy Club, and I drifted away from the Stooges fan club, I kind of forgot about that. But recently, a friend of mine, Brent, connected me with the guy in Philadelphia that runs the current version of that same club. It's still in operation. I edited the first half dozen issues of the Three Stooges Journal. It's still being published to this day. I have the first issues right here. They're so primitive looking. We did them on like on a Xerox machine. But I found a stack of these letters. Mo gave me your address and it reminded me, holy crap, Mo not only knew who I was and gave us permission to use their signatures on our membership cards, but gave out my name and address to hundreds of fans. So I sent to the, what's the guy's name? Gary, who currently runs the club. I sent him a big box of all the documentation of the founding of the organization that he's currently running. And what is it, 40 some years later, maybe close to 50. Yeah, it is, it's closer to 50. And it's still in operation. They have thousands of members. This journal that they publish, I think it's quarterly, is beautifully printed and produced, and each issue is just embraced by the thousands of fans. And Sons of the Desert continues as well, very strong. We're having our international convention this coming summer in New Mexico. So that's kind of my story of the Stooges fan club. But let me, while we're cooking our yams, I'm going to walk up closer to the camera so I can show you guys some of these letters that and autograph photos that Mo would send me. Every time Mo responded to one of my letters, he would put an autograph photo in. And every time it was different. He must have had a couple of dozen of these. So I kept writing him. I wanted to get as many of these as I could. So here's one that features Shemp. And Mo would always sign all three names. Now at this time, Larry had passed. So he would just go ahead and put all three signatures on there. To our friend, Larry, Mo, and Shemp. Here's a color one with Joe DeRita that had pre-printed signatures, and then he added, you can see up in the corner, to our friend Rick, sincerely, the Three Stooges. Here's another one with Shemp, and he signed it with kind of a light blue ink, to our Greene, and then it's funny, his Larry signature looks the way Larry actually signed. So he kind of mastered how they looked. This is one of the greatest publicity shots ever of the Stooges. They're in street clothes on the bottom and as their characters on the top. Hopefully it's in focus, but then because it's all black on the back, he wrote to our friend Rick, sincerely the Three Stooges, and all three names. So I just loved that I corresponded with him. I lived in Ohio, so I never got to meet him. I didn't even make it out to Hollywood until 1978, and he had been gone 3 years at that point. And here is the first photo that Mo sent me, and it's from Woman Haters, Annette.
Very nice, yeah.
And then the only autograph photo I got from Larry, and he wrote across the bottom, to Rick, sincerely, Larry, Three Stooges. Larry didn't sign all three names. He just did his own. So I have one letter from Larry and about a half a dozen from Mo. And you can see, even though Larry had had a stroke, his handwriting was very precise, very legible, very beautiful, really. And then Mo also hand wrote his letters, and he used their more recent cartoon logo as his stationery head. And I even have the letter in this collection where he specifically gives me permission to use their signatures on a membership card. And I will then show you, we didn't even do that. This is the original Three Stooges fan club membership card. And Ralph Schiller made mine out to Rick Greene, Vice President. Cool. And on the back, Ralph really wanted this on there. It's the Prayer for Clowns. This is what Dick Van Dyke read at Stan Laurel's funeral. And it's a very moving piece. So it's on the back of our membership card. And just for fun, this was a version of the Three Stooges fan club from the 60s that Norman Maurer, Joan's husband, Joan was Mo's daughter, that they ran for a while. And he was an amazing cartoonist. So he drew, I think it does kind of look like it's in focus. So hopefully you guys enjoyed seeing that stuff. I'll share some more memorabilia in a little while, but I have taken up enough time for now. Let's turn it back over to Curly G and the girls.
Yeah. That was amazing, Rick.
Thank you.
And you're Rick. Yeah. So Annette, do you have some questions for Curly G?
Oh my goodness. Yeah, I guess, well, you are doing this wonderful thing of keeping the Stooge legacy going. What is your favorite part of all that? And what do you want to like convey to people the most as far as Curly's legacy, Stooge legacy?
I mean, I enjoy the physical part of the humor. So, you know, I like to get, you know, it sounds a little strange, but I like to get slapped and I like to get slapped hard. And I love the reaction, right? Just like the Stooges, that they were built around that slapstick humor. So the type of material that we're putting out on Curly's Grandson channel on YouTube is a lot in the slapstick faction. And it's just, it's amazing that the fans, they gravitate towards it, and they laugh, right? And they're laughing and not only bringing, but keeping the laughter alive is so important now, more than any time with, you know, what's going on in the world. So just making people laugh and then being able to interact via social media and respond to the fans it's the most rewarding part of it. So it's amazing.
Wonderful. Yeah, and if you haven't seen it, Curly's YouTube channel is hilarious. I had so much fun just deep diving on all the YouTube content you've had, and I've run into, I think, some TikToks as well, or at least as far as a chef's great granddaughter, I believe she's
on there,
TikToker.
Yes,
yeah, there's been a lot of really fun Stooge crossover chaos across those two different contemporary platforms. So it's so great to see you engage on those platforms. And I wonder, do you have like a favorite moment from any of your adventures on YouTube?
Well, I think what would have been my grandfather's 113th birthday, which was 4 years ago, I believe. I spent the day and evening in honoring him by taking 113 pies in the face. And it was a long day, but we met so many amazing people, and so many people were so excited to hit Curly's grandson with a pie. So it was just, it's an honor and a privilege to be able to do something like that and to pay tribute to his greatness. So I think that was one of the most special moments in my history of being Curly G.
Oh gosh, that's wonderful. And do you have anything that you want to share in terms of like something that's in the pipeline on your YouTube channel, or? Well,
we're now that things have eased up and we can move around and do stuff, we're filming more TikToks and more shorts on the YouTube channel. But something that's even more special is we're actually creating a series, which will probably be 9 episodes, and it's going to star me because I'm a ham, you know. Is that ham I smell? Oh no, those are yams. Oh, but it's going to be we're going to launch the pilot, and hopefully what we're going to be doing is actually getting it on a much larger platform than YouTube, and hopefully selling it to Netflix and Amazon, so we can get the world can see it. The Stooges are global, they're international, so I want to make sure that this kind of laughter and this type of humor gets out to the world. So we're looking forward to that. And I think everyone's going to enjoy it. And I get the living, you know what, beat out of me. And I know that's funny. You guys like that stuff.
Let me ask you this. What other countries have you gotten the biggest reaction from? Because I noticed how some countries, certain kinds of humor translates better than others. But with the slapstick, I mean, I would imagine it's so global. Is there a particular country that has just really gone?
They're Argentina,
really?
South America. They love Tres Chiflacos, right? They love the Three Stooges, right? The Three Stooges is everything to them. So, and when we go to the fan club meetings, and there's so many great fans and so many wonderful people. So I'm hoping someday to go to South America and visit, right? I mean, that would be great.
You'd be like a visiting dignitary. They'd like roll out rugs and flower petals.
Oh, that would be amazing.
As it should be.
So, and then because with social media, you can go through and look at different categories. There's tons of fans in Europe and Australia. They're all over the place. It's amazing. It really is.
That's so cool. Do you guys have Three Stooges conventions? Because I know Laurel and Hardy, they have the Way Out West hints, but they have conventions. Mm-hmm. Do you guys have like conventions for the Stooges?
We used to have them every year. And I think 4 years ago, they're usually held in Pennsylvania, because that's where, I don't know if most of you know this, but there's a Three Stooges museum that Gary Lassen runs called the Stoogium, which is in Trevose, Trevose is actually where the fan club meeting was. But they used to be held yearly, but with COVID and stuff, things have kind of slowed down. But I'm hoping that we will continue that, because it's all about the fans, and there's tons of memorabilia, and you watch shorts with the the fans, and it's just it's great. So if they're not gonna put one together, Curly G certainly is. You guys are all invited.
Rick's house.
Yeah, like while we're in Pennsylvania, we can just go to the movie room.
Patty, I'm not responsible.
Oh, Patty's still upset about the stove. How could you?
I'm gonna clean all the honey and cider off the stove before I leave. I promised Rick that. So.
Yeah.
Rick, do you have some questions for Curly G? Do you have some things you'd like to?
He brought a couple of amazing family intimate photos that I think we should share. Why don't I? Yes. I'll hold them up and you can talk about what they are.
Sure.
I'll walk them closer to the camera.
Well, why don't we start with this one, because that's an intimate moment. All right. That's actually my grandmother Elaine showing off her engagement ring to her parents. Curly had just proposed to my grandmother, and that's a very, very special picture. Isn't it lovely?
It's amazing.
It is.
And then this one is actually a picture of my grandmother Elaine with the boys. And she is just gorgeous, and my mother's gorgeous. And you guys all know I'm gorgeous. You can just tell by looking at me. The Howard blood is simply amazing. I mean, for 70, I look pretty good, don't I, folks?
Right.
Yeah.
They were all so short, so you didn't get the short gene, luckily.
No. My dad was 5'10", and I'm like 5'10". On my mom's side, they were like 5'7", 5'8". Wow. Yeah, I was lucky.
Are any of your other siblings involved in the Stooge world or the Stooge community?
You know, I have an older brother, Darren, and I have an older brother, Darren, and I have an older sister named Andrea. And my sister Andrea is also involved with the fans on social media, and she interacts all the time with them. My brother happens to be a musical director, so he actually got all the talent, or most of the talent. My sister's an accomplished singer, but my brother is just super talented. And it was interesting that even before we knew that we were related to Curly and having this in our blood, we were performing makeshift musicals at the age of like 4 and 5. We were doing, Sound of Music, West Side Story, whatever. Back in the 70s, those were the days where musicals were were there, and we were performing for our parents, and friends would come over, and it just made sense later to like, why do we all have this? We have the gift of to be able to sing, and we like to get in front of the camera, perform. Later to find out that obviously the Howard bloodline is running through all of our veins, and we were built for this, So it's amazing.
I really love that it's a family affair. That is really cool.
Absolutely, I love my brother and sister, and my mother, Marilyn, is doing just wonderful. She's absolutely gorgeous, still as ever. And I want to send my best for my mother, for my brother, Darren, and for my sister, Andrea. They send the best to all of your viewers and all the fans out there. We send our love and our best.
Excellent. So is there any other memorabilia we'd like to show off? Because Rick has got a whole plethora all over the table of colorful. So what about those comic books?
Well, there were several series of Three Stooges comic books in the 40s, 50s, and then the gold keys from the late 50s and throughout the 60s that most of us boomer kids remember purchasing and having. But here's, this is the very first issue of the second series that featured Shemp. So these are very rare, difficult to find, expensive, but the first few Curly issues that predated this are astronomically expensive. I don't even have those, but this is super cool, drawn by Norman Maurer, who was the son-in-law of Mo. Look how good he drew Shemp. Very funny photo cover about being banned in Boston, if Shemp puts that last piece of the puzzle in there. I also have quite a few stills. They did a Pillsbury promotion, so they They did a whole bunch of photos dressed in tuxes for Pillsbury. And I have a lot of images of the one-sheet posters, which for shorts, they didn't spend as much on the posters. So they're just 2 colors, not full color. And then the later ones were just 1 color.
Oh, wow.
But these are just, the artwork is gorgeous. And I have to tell this story. When we were founding the Three Stooge fan club, one of the members came to all of us and said he had a source for Stooge one sheets and we should all get some. Well, you know, I was 14, 15, didn't have a lot of money. And the money I had, I was buying film, Black Hawk films and so on. So I only bought one. And I had the one sheet for the curly short, I Can Hardly Wait. And I paid $17.50 for it. All these one sheets cost $17.50. I should have borrowed money from everybody and bought as many as humanly possible. They go for thousands of dollars each one, especially with curly, thousands of dollars each. I sold my I Can Hardly Wait one sheet years later, and I got $400 or $500 then. Now it's worth several grand. And boy, I wish I had a bunch of them.
Wow. I wish they would have made full color posters.
Put that back, Curly.
Yeah. A couple $1,000, that's almost $1 million. Come on back in here there.
And there's a lot of books and DVDs on the Stooges too. So if people want to get more stuff, if you don't already have it, there is so much content out there. I went to a lecture by Jim Pauley about this great book because I love Hollywood film locations. And this is a fun one too, because you can find out where they shot all over Los Angeles. And that's really fun to trace.
And Carrie, hold up the 2 books by Bill Cassara, who was my writing partner on the Henry Brandon book. He wrote 2 Stooge-related books with a Ted Healy biography and a Vernon Dent. No one would have dug into the history of Vernon Dent the way Bill did, who was a detective. So he used his detecting skills when he became an author. And these books are beautifully researched. If you're a Stooge fan, you've got to have both of them. And of course, get our Henry Brandon book as well, who played Barnaby in Babes in Toyland and Laurel and Hardy.
Yeah,
It's true.
that's amazing. This guy's, he's an encyclopedia of everything good. I love this guy.
I love this cookie jar. What year was this made?
I probably had that for about 20 years or so. I think it's probably from the 90s.
It's so cool though, I love it. Are there cookies in it?
No cookies?
No.
Oh, no.
For display purposes only, Curly G.
Absolutely.
All right. And then Curly, you brought this great DVD packet as a gift for Rick.
I did.
So do you want to plug it? This is pretty impressive. I gotta order this today. Like,
Yeah, this is an amazing 9-episode box set called Hey Mo, Hey Dad, narrated by Paul Howard, Mo's son. And it takes place from when the Stooges' parents came over from Lithuania all the way to current times. And it is loaded, not just only with some of the best, probably the best documentary that I've ever seen on the Three Stooges, but there is so much memorabilia that is in this box. We were looking at some, and I was sharing with Rick.
Cool stuff.
All kinds of cool stuff. And it's like $20. Really? Are you kidding me? Even just the stamps alone that are in here are worth $2. Oh, wait a second, that didn't work. But anyways, I highly recommend this for all Stooge fans. And that's why it's so special to give it to my family.
Thank you.
Yes.
yay! All right. So, what other stuff would you like to talk about? Because there's one issue that I know might be controversial, but I have come across colorization of the Three Stooges shorts, and the horror, because I love black and white, and that does we all do. So how do you feel about the colorization issue? If you want to touch that subject.
Oh, me?
Yeah.
I'll touch anything. Almost anything. Wait a second. That's right, I'm married. I think it has its place. I think for the younger generation, I think they may gravitate towards that. If they see something in black and white, maybe they turn it off because it seems, they don't know what it is, to be honest with you. But I think the colorization actually, it lends itself maybe to the newer generation that might get tied into it, but it doesn't bother me. I watch the black and whites when I watch the Stooges, but I see a place for it. I think it's okay. I'm not upset about it. I'm upset that those Yammies are taking so long because I'm getting hungry.
All right, well, they are actually pretty much done. So I don't know if you guys want to hustle, do the curly hustle back to the
curly shuffle.
The curly shuffle, that's what it's called.
That was a hit song.
Yeah. Yes, I remember dancing to that song as a little girl.
Hey.
Well, while they're yamming it up here, I'll share a story that I told Curly G before we went on the air. And it kind of ties into the colorization conversation we were just having.
We gotta raise that screen up.
I'm working on it.
Back when my son Anthony was very young, I'm gonna say he was 6. I took him to his first Laurel and Hardy tent meeting, and he saw his first Laurel and Hardy film. I'm pretty sure it was Bratz, which is a very engaging comedy from 1930. Well, we were 10 minutes in, halfway through this 2-reeler, and he's laughing and enjoying it. And he has a funny look and he turns to me and he says, "Hey, Daddy, where's the color?" It was so good, he didn't even notice it was in black and white for 10 whole minutes. I think kids watching the Three Stooges would have very much the same engagement with those shorts in black and white. I know that when colorization first came out, it didn't look very good. Eyeballs were flesh colored because they couldn't cut out and leave the whites. And it really looked bad. But now, with CGI and special effects, it actually looks really good. I saw a Universal horror compilation, scenes from Frankenstein, Invisible Man, Dracula, Bride of Frankenstein, and they colorized it in the style of 3-strip Technicolor circa 1935. And my jaw dropped open at how beautiful these scenes looked. I'd love to see a film that looks that good, just as an alternate way to enjoy it. But nothing will replace the black and white vintage viewings.
Agreed. I thought we could show what the Yams look like and then take questions from our audience. So this is what they look like right out of the pan. Try not to spill this on Rick's stove. Okay, and this is what they look like when they're done. I'll hold it up to the camera.
Oh, wow.
Nice plate of yams here.
And you're monitoring to see questions?
All right, here's what they look in the pan.
There you go, flim flammy. Those are some nice yammies.
That's right.
Those look delicious.
Yeah. Is there a fork we could get, Rick? Maybe eat a few on camera while we're taking questions?
Yes, I have forks.
And like little plates, if you have them, That's it.
I was just kidding when you said eat it, and I was like shaking my head at the, I was just playing with it.
Oh, you don't want to eat one on camera?
No, I would eat anything you cook. You're an amazing cook.
I try.
Well, come on now. You got all these different recipes from all these Hollywood famous people.
Yeah, I was joking that if this episode goes well, seriously, there is a Cooking for Curly spin-off possibility because there are a lot of recipes in here.
Oh, I'd love to do that.
A lot of possibilities. Okay, it's yam eating time. So Curly, would you mind doing the honors? Taking yourself a yam? Rick, you want to try a yam? Annette?
Absolutely.
Everybody gets to taste a yam on camera?
Oh, thank you.
All right, Annette, what kind of questions are rolling in from our audience? I'm so curious.
Well, let's see. Let's get some questions coming.
Let's get some questions.
Is there any questions?
This is a really simple recipe.
It's very simple and it's very Thanksgiving oriented. And I was to say, even if you're not in America and don't celebrate Thanksgiving, I think this could still be a tasty recipe to make anywhere in the world.
Oh, that's amazing.
You like it?
I love it.
Oh, good.
We do have one question, actually. Oh.
The skin makes it hard to eat.
Yeah, you gotta cut it from the center.
Yum. You do.
You're gonna numbskull like me do that.
All right, we have questions rolling in then. So from Rick Carl, if Curly G could have a chance to ask his grandfather a question or two, what would he ask him?
That's good.
I think I would, well, I first would want to just give him the biggest hug ever. And then I would want to say how amazing he is. And obviously how the world just loves and adores him. But I would probably ask him, did he enjoy doing the shorts and doing it as much as we enjoy watching it? And he looks like he's having so much fun. So I would probably ask him that.
That was a great question, Rick.
Great
and
question.
a great answer, Curly
Well,
G.
thank you.
How did he not get hurt making these? Because every time I see him, I'm like, how did they not break every bone in their body making these films?
Well, there's an art. I'm choking. There's an art, obviously, to what they're doing. Now, they do get hurt. They did get hurt quite a bit. Actually, Mo got hurt more than all of the Stooges. He broke several bones in the years that they performed. But I need Rick over here. So like the eye poke, obviously they don't want to poke each other in the eye, so they go right above and hit the brow. So if you do it and you add sound effects, it makes movie magic, right?
Right.
All right.
So,
Yeah.
and as kids, we all played Three Stooges on the playground. I remember watching the shorts in Cleveland as a little boy on the Captain Penny show, Channel 5. And Captain Penny would always say, now, boys and girls, don't imitate the Three Stooges. They're actors and they're playing pretend. You could get hurt. And we listened to Captain Penny. So we were careful not to poke each other in the eyes, but we did the slapping stuff.
That's amazing.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Love it. Benjamin, is there a family dish or a tradition Curly likes?
A family dish. You mean as far as what kind of recipe that our family likes the best?
I think so, or a tradition in general that you kept up.
Well, I like the talk around the Thanksgiving table is probably one of the traditions, and it's probably not something I can talk about online. But we cover all subjects, and there's nothing that we won't talk about. And we like to hear about the stories of my mom, because my mom she was a gorgeous dame, right? And she has stories from back in college, and she was a cheerleader, and just hearing the stories of the good times she had, and then we ask like the darndest things. We don't have many filters in our family. So
big surprise.
So those traditions, and even my mom today, although she gets some of the same questions, she answers those questions all right.
You know what I was going to ask about this cookbook? One of the things that's funny about it is it rates the difficulty of all the recipes in Stooge parlance. So this recipe was labeled a bonehead level of difficulty. But each one, there's like a different level. So when I first got the cookbook, I'm like, is there a code to decipher? This one is the pickle brain right here. Like each one, there's like a different, there's not a code in here, but do you know where the recipes came from that made this cookbook? Are they Stooge family, or did they just assign a recipe with the Stooge moniker?
Just like most things, Three Stooges, I'm no historian, and I don't have the answer to that. But maybe some of these fans and some of the viewers may know that, but I have no idea where those came from.
Okay. And it could have been too based on a lot of the comedies. Sometimes they would be cooking, and that would obviously yield itself to lots of messes and things being thrown around. So they could have had a connection to that too.
Let's see, a question for Curly G from Gary. Was his grandmother Jewish like the Howard Horowitz family?
Yes, we were, my grandparents were Jewish, and my mother was raised Jewish. My father was Christian, so we celebrated Hanukkah and Christmas. And basically, I'm covered both ways. Not only do I deal with the maker, I also deal with the distributor. So I'm saved, and so are you. You're safe. I'm safe from that answer. But yes, I never went to temple. I've spent some time at church, but that's the honest truth. I'm a Jew for Jesus, basically.
Let's see, Brubaker says, so the parents of the Three Stooges were from Lithuania. Are there any traditional Lithuanian dishes you maybe ate for the holidays that you recall?
No, eat turkey. Is that from Lithuania? Do they have turkeys in Lithuania?
They might.
Ask them.
I'm sure they do. They probably have like schnitzel and stuff. Well, no, wait, that's Germany. That's not Lithuania.
Eric says, I love Christine McIntyre in the shorts. Did she ever do appearances and any good articles or books about her maybe that are out there?
I do remember someone interviewed her before she died for an article in Film Facts magazine, and she was astounded to be remembered. Didn't even quite understand the interest all those years later. I think if she had lived to go to a Stooge convention, she would have been completely overwhelmed. When, as the Laurel and Hardy group, we'd bring in the Our Gang kids who were little kids in the 30s. So in the 70s and 80s, they were older folks and probably my age. But they were just floored by how we fans loved and embraced the Little Rascals comedies. And they adored us because we adored them. I think Christine would have had very much the same experience. But the folks who worked as adults in the 30s, you know, by the 70s and 80s, they were all leaving us.
Yeah, it's important to get those interviews for sure and get that relationship. Let's see, Barbara rather asks, is Curly connected with the families of the other Stooges?
We are. We actually, I hang out with Shemp's great-granddaughter, Chandler, all the time, and Shemp's granddaughters. We do see at the Alex Theater, which there's a big event coming up every year.
Yes, I will post about that on social media. If you live in the Los Angeles or Southern California area, the Alex Theater in Glendale from 1925 is going to screen a whole day of Stooges in 35mm film at a historic theater at I think 2 p.m. and 8 p.m. or something like that. I will post about it because if you can get there in any way, you should.
And they do this every single year, and it sells out every year. It's just to be in an audience watching 35mm of people who love what we're watching, roaring with laughter. We've all seen the films, but to experience them together, it's just magic. Carrie's right. If you're nearby, you've got to be at the Alex.
Run, don't walk.
Or if you're not, definitely go.
Yeah, so there's Stooge family members from Larry's family that are there and Mo's family. So yeah, it's an honor, and it's so great to at least once a year get together and see all of them. And then when the shows are going on, when we have the fan club meetings and stuff, of course, a lot of family members are there as well. So those are special times.
I love it.
Excellent.
Huh. Let's see. Gary says, back in the 60s, the shorts were shown. Oh, actually, sorry, that's not a question. Here we go. Whoops. I know Larry and his wife had one daughter. Is Curly G in contact with any of Larry's grandchildren? If he had any?
Grandchildren, yes. Yeah. His grandchildren, yes. And his great-grandson, Kurt, amazing fellow. In fact, he runs Shop Knuckleheads, the super emporium for all things Three Stooges. So if you guys out there want to get anything that's Three Stooges memorabilia-wise, go to Shop Knuckleheads.
All right, very cool.
Michelle says, we have a 6-pack of Stooge beer. Is it still available?
No, it's not. I wouldn't recommend. That's from years ago. They don't taste like pig dinner. They don't taste like Brito.
Don't drink it.
Yeah, you can't drink it. Maybe you can clean something with it.
I would love to be the spokesperson for a new Three Stooges beer, though.
Hey,
that would be fun.
From your lips to the ears of the marketing people.
Oh, yeah.
Michelle also says, is there a Three Stooges conference or a meetup?
There used to be once a year in Philadelphia, and so we're hoping 2022 maybe. I hope so.
Okay.
Yeah, well, you just be on Facebook and just go to Curly's Corner, have a little fun little group there, and we'll talk about it. If we get a date, you're gonna know about it.
All right. All right.
Ooh, now's the time to ask any more questions.
Now's the time.
Here we go. Mark Basic. Does Curly G have a favorite Stooge short? If he wanted to introduce someone to the Stooges, what would he show them?
Great question.
I still think Disorder in the Court. I mean, I'm really drawn to that one. I just think it has a lot of aspects to it that are hilarious. Dizzy Pilots.
That's one.
Dizzy Pilots is pretty awesome as well. So I think you could choose any of them from the library. And I think someone's going to be gravitated toward it right away because they're all brilliant.
And I'll tell you, all the shorts have been released on DVD in an incredible box set. They look amazing. But Disorder in the Court is the one Curly short that fell into the public domain. So it's the one that most people have seen more frequently than any others because it was pirated, it was put onto VHS and DVDs over and over and over in poor looking prints. But the one on the Stooge box set from Columbia, the official one, is from the master negative, and it looks amazing.
Very nice.
Great.
Excellent. All right. I think is that it on the questions pretty much?
I think that's a wrap on the question.
And we'll try to go in, maybe we'll try to get on there later. We can write answers if anybody has anything that we don't catch here. So Curly, final thoughts on what you do, your family, your legacy, and the importance of the Stooge body of work.
The Three Stooges are timeless, and laughter is so important to people's well-being and their health, and they're just, it's so important. So I think everyone needs to just take some time to laugh. I think people need to take some time to watch the shows from the 70s, the 80s, to watch musicals. Music is so important, just like the Stooges are. And I hope to continue to bring laughter in the slapstick form and humor that I enjoy doing, and I know that the fans out there like. So I'm just going to continue to make people laugh and keep the laughter alive.
Excellent. Excellent.
I guess we did have one more question we can maybe sneak in.
Okay, yeah, let's sneak in another question.
Okay, does it upset anyone that Curly's grave has spoons, oyster soup, etc., Stooge-related things on it, or is it a tribute?
It is absolutely a tribute, and it's amazing, and they keep that well kept. So if there's a rock out of place, a spoon out of place, an oyster out of place, people are so respectful to keep it in pristine condition. But I think any fans that come to pay their respects, it's an honor, and I know that the boys, my grandfather and the boys upstairs, are tickled pink by it.
I'll tell you, of all the Stooges, we lost Curly first. If he could come back and see in the 21st century the regard that his work has been given, and him specifically, he's a comedy giant. I think he would be stunned, speechless. I think he would be so appreciative and just shocked at how popular they are all these many decades later. Hopefully there'll be some mechanism where we can all be up there and we can tell them ourselves.
I agree. I think that's a wonderful way to end the show, but Annette has another idea. So Annette, your idea for ending the show, would you like to present Curly with the little item we have for him?
Wait, we have a gift for you.
Wait a second.
Does this look familiar?
Oh no! Not pies!
So,
not pies!
Pies.
You folks don't want to see me get hit with the pie, do you?
Do you?
Do you? Well, go ahead and do it then!
Yes. It's not 113 of them.
Just give it to me then!
Pack a punch. All right.
Come on.
Thanks, Curly.
Oh!
Look at that quality. Oh, thank you so much, Curly.
Thank you so much to Curly G, to Annette Bochenek, to Greene. Thank you guys so much. Stay tuned for more food, fun, and film history from Hollywood Kitchen.
Bye, everybody.
That was actually done very well.
Yeah, look at that. Not a bit of mess.
Wow.